Hey, my name is Adwoa. Thank you so much for stopping by for today's episode. If you're like me, you've had moments at work where something has happened and you have felt your anger just raise up so fast and you needed to either step away so that you did not flip out, or maybe you weren't able to step away and you did flip out. Sometimes I've had moments at work where I fantasize about flipping out and just telling people what I think about them. But I don't, because that would not be professional. So what do you do so that you can keep your emotions in check when work gets really, really tense? And that is what we're gonna spend the balance of today talking about. So I hope you enjoy it. So personally, I have a serious pet peeve about being ignored. When I'm at work, I've had moments where I was in a meeting, I made a comment, and people would look at me while I was talking and then continue as if I had not just said something very, very intelligent. So as I was researching how I could handle those really, really tense situations a little bit better, I came across something that I was like, this is so magical, I need to share it with you. So if you're ready for a little career magic, let's go ahead and start talking about what I learned in the process. Something I've learned throughout my professional journey is that the display of emotions that we have at work is very much a choice. The emotions that we have are generally in reaction to a mental story that we tell ourselves, an internal story, as one of my friends likes to refer to it. We are all telling ourselves stories about what's happening in our own lives and around us every single day. We are natural storytellers in that way. All of us are. But sometimes those stories that we tell ourselves can help us, and then sometimes the stories we tell ourselves can really, really hurt us. So today I want to make sure you're telling yourself an internal story that doesn't hinder you and instead helps you. The first thing that I think is really important to do is to own the emotion. Most of us have an emotional reaction and will look externally. So-and-so did something and it made me react this way. But nobody makes you react this way. You actually chose to react the way that you did because of what was happening around you. So when you stop looking externally at the people and the places and the things that made you do something, and you start looking internally and start to ask yourself, why did I choose to behave the way I did? Then you can start to have a very different dialogue with yourself. And you can start to take control of the emotional reactions that you have, especially in tense moments. Now, after owning the emotion, the second thing to do is to name the story. So remember, I also mentioned that we're all natural storytellers every single day, all day long. We're telling ourselves stories about why we're doing the things that we're doing. Research shows us that there's 3 different types of stories that we tend to tell ourselves during really, really tough times when we want to have a really strong emotional reaction. And here they are. We're telling ourselves that we're the victim, we're awesome, and everybody else is the problem. Been there, done that, right? All day long. Or the villain story, which is they are just straight up hating on me because they're just awful people. Or you're telling yourself the helpless story, which is I have no control, things are happening to me, and there's nothing I can say or do about it. Name your story. Is it the victim story? Is it the villain story? Or is it the helpless story? That way, you'll know how exactly to behave once you know what story it is you're telling yourself. Now, the third thing to do is to challenge the story. So if you're telling yourself the victim story, which is I'm awesome and they're the problem, then you need to start asking yourself the question, what behaviors or things or actions am I doing that I am not owning? That gives you a little bit more stake in the game versus putting all the blame on other people. Now, if you're telling yourself the villain story, which is they're awful people and there's not a good bone in their body and they're just out to attack me, the way to challenge that is to say, well, let me not assume that they're horrible, awful, irrational, indecent people, and counteract that by saying, all right, well, what would make a rational, decent person say or do what they said or did? Now let's talk about the helpless story. So if you're telling yourself, I have no control, I have no power, things are just happening to me, you need to challenge that story. And you can challenge that story by saying, what is one thing I can do now to move towards what I really want? Take control back. Do something. It doesn't matter how small, and obviously it would be awesome if it was big, but do something. Take action so that you can move out of this helpless story that you're telling yourself and move towards something else that you really, really want. So if you're digging this video, here's what you do. You like it, and you share it, because you never know how this simple video share will seriously up the ante in terms of someone's career and their life. And if you feel like you need a little bit more of what I do and what I share, please do go head over to the site that's listed right here and sign up for our email updates. That way you never miss out on anything new that I drop. I do drop videos every single week, and I drop them straight in your inbox. The corporate world needs that unique gift that only you bring. So go out into the world today and act with conviction. Be courageous and live joyfully every single day. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I cannot wait to see you again at the very next episode.